Our story kicks off in 1996. Alex's dad is walking on the beach when he finds the mysterious Jumanji game. He takes it home to his son Alex, but Alex just looks at it bored. An old board game? He just tosses it aside. But in the middle of the night, Alex wakes up and discovers the game has changed. It's now a video game cartridge. He plugs it into his console and suddenly a blinding green light flashes from his room, and Alex vanishes. Flash forward 20 years. We meet Spencer, a nerdy kid writing a school paper for his classmate Fridge, the popular jock. They agree to meet in front of the Freak House, which happens to be the same house Alex disappeared from 20 years ago. Spencer's only doing this because he's lonely and wants to be Fridge's friend. He tries to make conversation, but Fridge just grabs the paper and bails. In the same school, we see Bethany, the spoiled popular girl who's glued to her phone during class. Naturally, her teacher gives her detention. Then, in gym class, there's Martha, the quiet bookworm who thinks any activity besides studying is a waste of time. When she mouths off to the gym teacher, she gets detention too. Meanwhile, the principal finds out about the cheating, busts Spencer and Fridge, and sentences them both to detention. All four of them end up in the detention room, four total opposites. We see Spencer crushing on Martha, but he's way too shy to even talk to her. While cleaning, they find an old Jumanji video game system. They decide to fire it up to kill time, and each one picks a character. Suddenly, a beam of light shoots out of the game and sucks them all inside. They wake up in the middle of a dense jungle. They're inside the world of Jumanji, and this is where they get the shock of their lives. They are all inside the bodies of the characters they chose. Spencer finds himself totally jacked because he's now Dr. Smolder Bravestone, the strong, brave hero. But Fridge is now tiny and short, stuck in the body of Mouse Finbar, the animal expert. As for Bethany, she literally falls out of the sky onto Fridge and discovers she's now Professor Shelley Oberon, the map and geography expert. And, plot twist, a dude. And finally, Martha is now Ruby Roundhouse, the killer dancer. After they freak out and figure out who is who, they're totally stunned, with no idea how they got there or how to get out. They notice each of them has a tattoo of 3 black lines on their arm. Suddenly, a giant hippo lunges out from behind Bethany and eats her alive. They all panic, but just moments later, Bethany falls right out of the sky again. The hippo reappears, so they all run for their lives until they're saved by a man in a jeep named Nigel. Nigel, it turns out, is an NPC, a programmed character in the game, whose job is to guide them. He tells them he's been waiting for them to save Jumanji from a terrible curse. He hands Spencer a message explaining what happened. In a flashback, we see an evil villain named Russell who was searching for the jaguar statue to steal the sacred jewel from its eye. He got it and used its power to control Jumanji and fill it with evil. Nigel had to steal the jewel back from Russell while he was sleeping, and now he's giving it to Spencer. Their mission? Return the jewel to the statue's eye. That's how they'll break the curse and win the game. Nigel also gives them a map to find the missing piece they need to complete their team, then he just drives off and leaves them. When they open the map, it's blank, but they discover that Bethany, as Professor Shelley, is the only one who can read it. It's her character's skill. Spencer touches his chest and a screen pops up showing their strengths and weaknesses. He discovers he has courage, climbing, and speed, and no weaknesses? Martha can perform a lethal dance and her weakness is venom. Fridge knows all about animals, but his weaknesses are speed, strength, and cake? They're all baffled by these weaknesses, especially Fridge. Out of nowhere, a rocket flies past them, and Russell's goons show up on motorcycles shooting at them. They sprint into the jungle. Spencer is super fast, while Fridge is comically slow and weak. Martha uses her jumping skills and saves Bethany at the last second. Spencer has to carry Fridge on his back. They reach the edge of a massive waterfall and have no choice but to jump. They pull themselves out of the water, but realize Martha was shot during the chase. She dies. Her character vanishes, but moments later she also falls from the sky, landing right on Fridge. They look at her arm and see the tattoo now only has 2 lines. That's when they realize the terrifying truth. Those lines are their lives in the game. If they lose all 3, they die for real inside Jumanji and will never return home. As they walk, the group starts to implode. Martha calls out Bethany for being a self-obsessed popular girl. Bethany snaps back that Martha is too judgmental and no one will ever like her. Then a huge fight breaks out between Spencer and Fridge. Fridge blames Spencer for getting them all in detention, and Spencer argues he was doing Fridge a favor and should be thanked. Fridge gets so mad, he shoves Spencer right off a cliff. A second later, Spencer drops from the sky, having lost his first life. Now in his powerful body, he punches Fridge, but then catches him just before he slips off the edge and loses a life. They finally agree they have to stop fighting and work together. They follow the map to the missing piece and end up in a market. They're starving and see some cake. Fridge grabs a piece and eats it, and instantly remembers cake is his weakness. He explodes on the spot, then falls from the sky, having lost a life for not paying attention. A small boy appears and tells them to follow him to the missing piece. He leads them to a tent with a basket inside. Spencer lifts the lid and a giant snake lunges out, striking at Martha. Spencer grabs it and Fridge manages to remove its fangs. Inside the basket, they find a small elephant statue and a note that says, "When you see the elephant, you must climb." None of them understand what it means. The second they step outside, Russell's gang surrounds them. Spencer goes full-on action hero, taking out guys left and right. But then Russell himself appears, holding a gun, demanding the jewel. Just then, someone saves them. A smoke bomb goes off, and a mysterious figure tells them to run. They follow him into secret tunnels and back out into the jungle. He introduces himself. His name is Alex. Alex takes them to his treehouse hideout. He tells them his weakness is mosquitoes, which is why he has so many candles. He says he feels like he's been trapped in the game for months, and he's down to his very last life. He realized he could never win alone. That's when the team realizes Alex is the missing piece they were looking for. Alex explains the next stage, a transportation shed. They need to sneak in and get a vehicle to take them to the Jaguar statue. The problem is, there are 2 guards, and someone needs to distract them. Naturally, all eyes turn to Martha, since Ruby is the only woman on their team. Bethany, using her popular girl expertise, takes Martha aside and gives her lessons on how to be alluring, since Martha is clueless. Later, they're watching the shed. They find out from Alex that he's from 1996. They ask him what year he thinks it is. He says 1996. The horrible realization hits them. Alex is the kid who vanished from the freak house 20 years ago. Alex breaks down, not believing it, but Spencer promises they will get him home. Martha goes to distract the guards. Her attempt at being seductive is a hilarious disaster, but it works. The others sneak into the shed and pick a helicopter. Outside, Martha gets into a fight with the guards and takes them both out with her dance fighting. Alex gets in the pilot seat and they take off, just as Russell's men fire rockets at them. A rocket hits the helicopter's rotor. They lose altitude and drop into a deep canyon. The rotor is damaged and someone has to manually fix it from the outside. To make things worse, a massive stampede of rhinos charges through the canyon. They're trapped. Spencer volunteers, climbs out, reaches for the rotor, and fixes it. The helicopter starts to climb, but just then, the sacred jewel falls out of Fridge's bag. They have to go back down into the stampede to get it. Spencer looks at Fridge's arm and sees he still has a life left. He gets a crazy idea. He shoves Fridge out of the helicopter. The rhinos chase Fridge, clearing a path to the jewel. Spencer swoops down, grabs it, and flies up. Fridge gets trampled, dies, and falls from the sky. Spencer catches him. Fridge is furious that Spencer sacrificed him, but everyone else is laughing. Just then, a mosquito lands on Alex and bites him, his weakness. They all know this is his last life. The final line on his arm fades away, but Bethany acts fast, giving him CPR and saving him. She then looks at her own arm and sees one of her lines is gone, and a new line has appeared on Alex's arm. Bethany gave one of her lives to Alex. He thanks her, and they hug. Later, they rest in the jungle. Alex is worried about his parents, who he hasn't seen in 20 years. Bethany comforts him, realizing she's starting to care about someone else, a huge change from her selfish personality. Meanwhile, Spencer and Martha talk. Spencer uses his new Bravestone courage and finally tells her he likes her. And the surprise? She likes him too. They continue and finally see the jaguar statue in the distance. As Spencer holds the jewel, a path of torches lights up. Worried it's a trap, Spencer tries to be brave and climb through the trees, but he falls, and a jaguar attacks him. He dies, drops from the sky, and is now down to his last life. They see Russell's gang approaching. They decide to split up. Martha will use her dance fighting to hold off the goons. Alex will distract the jaguar, clearing the path for Spencer to reach the statue. But a goon ropes Martha by the leg and drags her behind his motorcycle. Spencer intercepts, knocks the guy out, saves Martha, and then takes the motorcycle himself, speeding toward the statue. At the same time, an elephant appears and charges Fridge. Fridge, the animal expert, yells at it to stop, and it does. When Spencer reaches the statue, Russell is waiting, holding Bethany hostage. He demands the jewel or he'll kill her. Just then, Fridge busts in, riding the elephant and holding the jewel. Jaguars attack the elephant and the jewel is knocked from Fridge's hand. They manage to free Bethany. Martha yells at Spencer to ride the motorcycle up the statue and she'll get the jewel to him. Martha uses her acrobatic skills to reach the jewel, but it's surrounded by snakes. And her weakness is venom. She doesn't hesitate. She pushes through the snakes and grabs the jewel. Russell appears behind her, telling her to hand it over or he'll let the snakes bite her. But Martha isn't afraid. She decides to sacrifice herself, letting the snakes bite her, knowing she still has 2 lives left. Sure enough, as Spencer is driving up the statue, he sees Martha falling from the sky. He reaches out his hand at the perfect moment, she passes him the jewel, and he slams it back into the statue's eye. Instantly, the curse lifts from Jumanji. They're overjoyed that they won. Nigel appears and congratulates them. He tells them it's time to go home. He holds out his hand, and one by one, they return to the real world. They burst out of the game, back in detention, thrilled to be back in their own bodies. But they ask, "Where's Alex?" They run out of the school and go to the freak house. But it's not a freak house anymore. It's beautiful. They realize the game sent Alex back to his own time, 1996. He lived his life, happy, and started a family. They see him as a grown man, and he recognizes them, thanking them for saving his life and sending him home. The next day, the 4 of them go to school, but this time as close friends. Every single one of them is a better person after their Jumanji experience. They decide they have to destroy the game, so no one else ever gets trapped inside. And that's where the first movie ends.